Welcome everyone to the Vermin Sermon. You might notice that audio is different, and I don't care. I don't care about your complaints. I don't care if it's different. I don't care if it's worse. And I just had an ad play in the background, which you all heard from this article, and I'm not going to edit that out because I don't care. Welcome everyone. I am back home, and I set up finally my dual PC streaming setup, which is the most botched and it is the McDonald's of dual PC streaming setups. I'll just say that everything is so complicated, but it's a mystery, and I'm gonna find some things out the hard way about the setup. Anyways, a couple things happened, more or less, and the first thing we're gonna talk about is the Crew 2's complete nonsense crew credit system from the new update. So, for a bit of context, in the Crew 2, you would have different ways to actually obtain the premium currency in the game. So, the crew credits, right? So, honestly, that was one of the things I thought to myself, that's kind of good, actually. A game with the premium currency that lets you obtain the premium currency. It's still annoying that some things can only be bought with the premium currency. In the Crew 1, very few things could only be bought with it. Almost everything could be bought with in-game cash, but it's okay if you also have the premium currency. There you go. And so, like, in the Crew 1, it was more or less the premium currency was just, if you didn't have the time to spend, you could do that. And granted, some people said the Crew 1 was grindy, but really, you could make money so quickly in that game if you just knew how. You know how to send friends.
I love how people...
Yeah, go ahead.
Who say that game is grindy? It's like, bro, you don't know what a grindy game is. You don't. This is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
they'll be like, I grinded for 4 hours on one race. I'm like, mate, I grinded for one fucking sword on Adventure Quest World for 2 months. It's nothing.
Wow.
That is nothing.
I can't
if anything, that's your foray.
I can't tell.
I would say impressed, but not impressed because of me. Impressed just because of how my RNG went. Like, I took my friend 9 months of that same sword because you have to assemble pieces, and each piece is 0.1%. It's fucking nuts.
Boy.
I sold that account for extra money though. So it's all good.
Unless that's one of those digital items you can sell on a marketplace. Unless you sold it for $8,000. No, dude, it's not worth it. It's a digital piece of...
I will say, in that last month, we found out there was a bot that could just bot shit for you. So that made it way easier. That was brain damage, drooling. The first month was actual grind. The rest of it was okay, I just said it's a grind here.
Oh, wow. All right. That's gotta be upsetting. Anyways, I mean, in the Crew 2, when I had a lot of money from just trying to max out my cars and all the different specs, and I just bought Lamborghinis and drove them for 2 seconds, and might as well just buy another one, because I'm just well, what do I do now? I just have all this money. I don't know how to I was I don't even know what to spend it on. And then fast forward a few months.
Wait, what game are you talking about? The Crew or Forza?
The Crew 2.
Forza.
Hashtag worth it.
I'm about to say that just sounds like Forza to me. Buy this Lambo, next car, go.
I was about to say, I had the Forza effect. I had the Forza effect.
Oh, God. That is a terrifying effect that I don't want.
Yeah. What ended up happening was, a few months later, and now you get so many cars that they add, they cost a ton of money, and now I can't actually afford to do anything. But you see, here's the thing. I know if I spent the time to grind, it would not be that bad. It really wouldn't. It's it's almost comparable to grinding in Need for Speed Heat, where if you do 1 hour of races, you'll have about $1 million because the races give you $70 grand each time. And I didn't even have the OP fast cars. I just had whatever cars I enjoyed driving. So I don't even know, man.
Actually, a great example of Need for Speed Heat grinding that I did personally was I just wanted the top scores and times in every event, so I just practically grind them out until I got them. I wound up with 10 million by accident just doing that.
Yeah.
Like, not even trying. I'm like,
Not
I
even
have so
trying.
much money. What do I do with this?
Yeah.
If you can talk about grinding, I grinded like 100 hours in the crew 2 before that a new update came, and then I found it's a waste of time. Because all the
Unlucky,
cards.
man. All 100
Tragic.
hours. Rip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a fair bit of grinding in the crew too, just to get some cars upgraded, but I don't know. I didn't go like too crazy at it. I used to grind a lot more in the crew 1, but like I was in 8th grade when that game came out, so it's all right. You know, I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
Yeah. Like a whole lot of also no, because it's like, dude, the crew 1, one of we already mentioned this, but one of the most memorable PvP whole entire situations, if you will, because you were making a decent amount of money, but it just worked and it was just fun, and there was always people to play with. And like, granted, when I say there's always people to play with, I mean after they patched it and it started to work. Because like previously in the crew 1, you'd go to PvP, and there were a bunch of different PvP areas, and however many people you'd get depended on those areas, right? They basically segmented the player base into a whole bunch of different PvP lobbies, and actually there were enough people to where you would have a fairly decent chance of getting to play PvP in basically any area you wanted. But eventually, as the player base died out a bit, before Wild Run and other things, it'd be a bit harder, so they split it up. But like I say, I did a whole bunch of grinding, but it wasn't like just meaningless. Like, let me just restart this race and do it over and over and over again to get money. No, it's playing PvP, and ton of fun. It was basically like I have almost like shared memories with that and like Hot Pursuit 2010's PvP. And if I had the run, it would have been the same story. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even consider it grinding. It was more or less like wanted to play multiplayer, so I played multiplayer, and then I also ended up having like a ton of money at the end of it too. So worked out. Anyways,
Win-win.
crew 2. So the premium currency, the crew credits, you can actually earn them doing normal things. You don't have to buy them. But crew credits do have a number of things that you'd need crew credits in order to get. So that's I don't know how I feel about that, but whatever. The fact that you can earn them yourself is decent. As far as I'm concerned, there are no cars that you can only get with crew credits. It's only like the vanity, the different tires, the tire smoke, and the that kind of thing. Neons as well, that you can use real money for, or crew credits, sorry. So that was all fine and good, but then in this newest update they decided, you know what, we like money, and we like more money. More money would be just great.
We like a lot of money.
How about you can only earn, if I'm reading this correctly, 20,000 crew credits per month. I think that's how long a Motor Pass season is. And that is what's going to happen with the Motor Pass. The Motor Pass is basically a battle pass, except for the Crew 2, because why not? And by why not, I mean no, please don't. Have some respect for yourself. You'll only earn 20,000 crew credits.
Themselves.
Yeah, to be honest. You'll only have to earn 20,000 crew credits in the free track, and then 20,000 credits in the premium track. The premium track costs 80,000 crew credits. Now, granted, you're getting a whole bunch of other useless garbage in there, so there you go. But you're only gonna make half the money back, and you're gonna have to be consistently paying money for the Motor Pass system. Maybe it would have made sense if the Crew 2 was a free to play game. But it's not. It's a full $60 game. And I understand it's been so long since the release. How are the developers going to support themselves? Maybe you should have thought about that one beforehand, Chief. I don't know what to say. When you make a game when you make games that take like 6 or 7 years to make, you're going to have to support yourself in the long haul. And it's just not at the quality where I feel like it would be worth paying for regular premium content, as well as also the whole game after being $60. Right? It's actually interesting. It has me thinking because you buy a game for $60 at one time, and then now the trend is that we expect free content afterwards. I mean, it's kind of weird, but also it's when you have so many, half done, unfinished games that come out. Really, I mean, what people's expectations are is for those games to be finished. But also just the whole point of them just adding a ton of extra content for free. That doesn't happen very often.
Really, ever.
Need for Speed 2015 had some free content updates, but they didn't last forever. Probably because they wouldn't be able to support it.
No, I don't like to think of it. I actually like to think of like the cruise content updates as like legitimate like MMO like expansions. Like that's how big they are.
Right. Yeah.
It's big, but it's still like crap, like putting sparkles on a turd. Like,
yeah,
well, that's life, isn't it?
I mean, that's
just life.
That's the Crew 2. The Crew 1.
That's what I mean, because the Crew 2 has so many issues that would be sorted like with the base engine and stuff like that.
Actually, I don't know anything about the Crew 2. I was thinking about the Crew 1 actually.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about the Crew 2.
It's broken on so many levels, but just keep adding stuff to it with that looking like tone deaf, and there's
I still don't hate it. Like I haven't returned to it in a while, but I remember when we did an episode where I was like, you know what, I actually returned to the Crew 2 a little bit. It's because they updated the handling model a tiny bit.
Yeah, I like that handling. It felt a bit decent, but then it just deleted it after an hour.
Yeah. And it's like, the handling model feels decent, but what are you going to play the game experiencing the handling model for? Is it for the 80,000 crew credit premium currency battle pass that only gives you half back and is complete nonsense?
Talking about that, I want to say one quick thing. It's not even a good implementation of it because, like, let's say Call of Duty Warzone. Yeah. It's probably one of the best battle passes I've seen. I haven't paid many, but it's really good. Because, like, let's say you pay £8, you put it in and you get a battle pass, and it goes up 100 levels, and you get really cool and nice stuff like skins, guns, characters, and stuff. And then you use and also credits, and use those credits to buy the next one, so you don't have to keep on putting money in. But these guys,
interesting.
It's like some. It's like some form of weird reverse capitalism or something where you get fucked even more and then you get less stuff. It's
just like, hey, actually, I don't know how much. I'm gonna look up real quick how much 80,000 crew credits costs. But before I do that, like also Warzone is free. You can download it separately and you don't have to, right? Like I really think people would be more sympathetic to a battle pass if the Crew 2 was a free to play game.
I think, in my opinion, free to play. I'm pretty sure fake CJ said. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's. How would they compensate people who actually bought the game, though? That's my question.
I remember when CS:GO went free to play, they did something like that where they got extra stuff, and I'm sure that they did the same with what's the other game called? The car football one. What's it called?
Rocket League. Yeah,
Rocket League, because it went free to play, didn't it? So yeah.
I mean, well, because also like with those games, isn't basically all the premium content more or less just kind of skins and not really? They don't really have a gameplay effect.
I think what they should do, kind of free to play, but if you pay extra, you can get extra stuff like pool cars or whatever, and those weird edgy vinyls if you really like them, or neons or whatever.
Because
I don't know.
Because some of the cars are locked behind the premium part of the motor pass. So, actual, real, like, I mean, it's not like, oh, man, I'm missing out on some skins. Like, no, it's kind of more or less a gameplay thing. I don't know how that would work.
The funny thing is that people, I'm sure not everyone, but there are people who say that this is a bad system, I'm not going to buy it. They'll buy it and support them anyway, which will just make them think.
But we know those people, they're fucking losers.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean.
But I mean, like, also, here's the thing, me, honestly, I don't know, maybe I just, like, don't care anymore, but if you buy this thing, I'm going to disagree with your decision, but I also don't. I'm sorry, I don't care anymore.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care.
It's your money. It's like, If you want to, here's the thing, right? If you want to spend something on something I would absolutely 100% disagree with, I disagree with your purchase, but go ahead. Now, people are suggesting that you don't purchase this specifically for the reason that you wouldn't want to support Ivory Tower doing this, and that they understand that this business model is probably not the way to go. That I can understand more or less rallying behind. I guess for that reason, you know, it's not like, I guess I don't know how to explain it. It's a bit more of a different situation than just buying something that, in my eyes, would be a really bad decision. Whereas in this case, there's a different aspect to it. You know, some people, but it's like also like I don't want to demonize anyone who bought this Motor Pass thing because they genuinely enjoyed the Crew 2. Because people,
I don't want to demonize them, but I'm gonna think you make poor decisions.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. That's your your opinion. Heck, I know I'm gonna stay far away from this. But hold on a second. So as it turns out, to get 100,000 crew credits. Also, why do they always do this? They do this like, well, actually it's 90,000, but here's a 10,000 bonus.
Every game
like, shut up, man.
To make extra money, Call of Duty.
Shut up.
Every game does that. It's
okay, dude, it's $10
honestly
each month for the Crew 2, in essence.
That's Netflix subscription. That's like that's like it's a waste of money in my opinion. It's not.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So suppose you're a hardcore The Crew 2 fan. Man, I do not want to know what your room smells like. Anyways, you're a hardcore The Crew 2 fan. You pay $10 for it. You get half of it back. You get around, like 40K. You need 40 more K. Then you can just spend $5 after that with the Crew 2 starter pack of credits and whatever. So $10 initially, and if you grind it out, you just spend $5 each time. But that's still like absolutely not worth it in my own opinion.
Yeah, imagine after a year, like how much you're paying, and just like more than the game itself and stuff like that. And
it's a very
the only good thing I think about this, they can probably put it into the next game, but the next game will probably be grief as well if this is like bad.
Well, I don't know. It's always possible for there to be a like a decent successor to something, right? I mean, trying to think about certain things specifically, but like Need for Speed 2015 did come out after Rivals. We all know that happened. Granted, 2015 actually wasn't a good game, but I mean, like in terms of how much I enjoyed the two games, Rivals versus 2015, it's possible for devs to redeem themselves. It's just, can you rely on it?
In this situation, I doubt it, man.
Fuck no. Yeah. You can never rely on that, I feel.
Yeah. It's because also, like, you don't even know, like, we don't even know what actually goes on in there. Could be another, like, Most Wanted 2012 situation. An entirely different game is going to be made, but some head people at the top, or people who we don't even know who it was that caused Most Wanted 2012 to turn into the game that it is now.
We've known to like
we don't know. Also at the end of the day, games developers, it's like to deal with impatient people. That's got to be frustrating because at the end of it's just like a normal job. You wake up, you code, you go to bed, except now you get death threats because a decision somebody else made. Isn't that nice? But also, like, you should be aware of what you're getting into before you get into it. I think that's important to remember. And also, like, doesn't always happen.
In all facets of life.
Yeah.
Video games, schools, choice as a woman.
Yeah. Right. So
it's all important.
In the Crew 2, about compensation, I mean, like, one way to do it could be like a one-time giving of crew credits or something like that, but I don't even know if that would be worth it. 675,000 crew credits is $50, which, guys, if you're spending $50 or whatever the exchange rate is for the Crew 2 premium currency, I have a lot of questions. I have so many questions. I'm not even going to be able to finish this whole podcast before I'm done asking questions. Anyways, that would be about, give or take $1 million for $60 if you want to have like a little bonus for people who had the game previously. Oh, you know what? I forgot this game also has a season pass. Oh my gosh! Wait, what does the season pass do? I don't remember anymore.
I think that was just when it came out, when it had extra cars or money or whatever.
Oh gosh,
I don't even know.
That's interesting. That's interesting for sure. Because now there's a season pass, a motor pass, and the other virtual currency, and other stuff going on. And before they had live contracts. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember the season pass, like people actually praised it. I think I might have as well. Like, hey, because it gave you early access to vehicles, but other people could earn them, right? Now they might be pricey and they might take some time to earn, and that's why you might want to have a season pass. The season pass also did have like some premium vehicles, but it's like, hey, since the devs already told you that you're going to be able to earn anything you want later on down the line without the season pass, and the season pass is just early stuff, then if this is for you or not. Be responsible with your money, and you can choose to buy it or not, depending on whether or not you think it's worth it to get stuff early. And I was like, oh, that's cool. People still know what they're getting, and people also have an opportunity to get premium, quote unquote, premium stuff for free. But man, have the tables turned. Yeah, I really don't know, man. Like now, I think before the motor pass situation, that update, you could get. I actually don't know how many, but you be able to get a decent amount of crew credits from the live contracts. I never did them because I didn't really play the game, but I don't know. That's something worth considering. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the crew too. It's like every step forward they take 2 steps back.
They live in society. That's what it is.
Also, like, I could go on about why I think the whole idea of you being. I think the whole point is it's basically like Stuntman Ignition, except not fun.
Not fun.
Because it's not actually because you're supposed to be like making movies or something. And like what they basically they added cops, but not really. Except you're the cop, except you're called an interceptor, and you just do these dumb little events, and apparently it's super easy to take people out. I mean, like easier than Burnout 3.
That's saying something.
I don't know, man. And it's all you mentioned. Kazil Salim designed some cars with the update. Yeah, that's true. He's working over there instead of Ghost.
They do look really interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I maybe I should be more interested, but I don't. Good for him. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the crew too. Really, I don't know what's going on. And like they didn't even add proper cops. They just added like this weird like only you can have them, and I don't know, man. It's like
that doesn't count. That
just
doesn't
like
count
don't even add fake cops, man. Like if you're gonna like Ivory Tower, if you're gonna stick to your stance of like no, we're not gonna add cops that messes with the direction of this game, stand your ground. But whatever, who cares? Like either stand your ground or give in completely. This is weird halfway thing. It's just like not. I mean, you can apply this further past video games into other stuff. Anyways, we have some actual car news. The Mercedes AMG GT Black Series set the record for the fastest production car lap time at the Nürburgring of 6 minutes, 43 seconds. And the thing about it is, there are so many AMG GTs, I don't even know which one is which anymore. I'm going to pull up a chart in the meantime. I think it's on... Hold on a second. It details like all the different ones. And and I'm not even sure if it's completely accurate. It's probably missing some. It's just ridiculous. I don't know when they're gonna stop. And you know what? One of my friends was like, "Okay, but this is like the last AMG GT." I'm like, "Well, the GTR Black Series. It's not a GTR Black Series. It's a GT, which means they might make a GTR Black Series." Oh my gosh, man!
It sounds like semantics.
Yeah, it's. Hold on, let me find.
It's like, you know what I fucking mean. Don't say shit like that.
Yeah, like it sounded like that. You see. But the thing is, knowing Mercedes and how many of these things they've made, that's a legitimate question. I was being snarky. Like, they might actually make a GTR Black Series as a separate car.
Oh, yeah, that could be a thing.
You see, they had the GT and then the GTS, which I actually thought both were the same thing in like 2014, 2015, whenever they came. I don't remember which one was in Drive Club. One of them was in the game. Then you have the GTR. And then you have the GTR Pro. You also have the GT and the GTC, roadsters of them, facelift variants, and now the GT Black Series. It just doesn't end, man.
That makes no sense.
And I will never remember how much horsepower the certain variants are gonna have because it's all like, what the? I don't like the. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I got to take it's a bit stupid, but I think the more words or letters it has after GT, then the faster it is.
Yeah, basically. Well, I think the way it works is you have the GT, and then you have the GTS, and then you have the GTC. No, the GTC.
The GTR, GT Pro, then GT Roadster, then GTC, then facelift, then S, then Black Series.
Yeah, I mean, like, the roadsters are just roadster variants, right? Then the facelifts are just like, I mean, like, the original GT and GTS are just kind of more or less outdated, if you will. So if you're getting a new AMG GT, you could get the GT, you could get the GTS, and then the GTC. Interesting naming scheme. I wouldn't call the higher end model the GTC, but you do whatever you want, Mercedes. And then there's also just the Roadster variants. No GTS Roadster variant, interestingly enough. Only the GTC and the GT Roadster. Then there's the GTR and the GTR Pro. And now the GT Black Series. The Black Series seems to be quite a bit, like there's a bit of a difference. Like quite a bit of an actual difference here.
Yeah, isn't the Black Series kind of hardcore, like performance? So.
Yeah, like see the GT, the facelift, by the way, not the old one. 470-ish horsepower, kind of sports, like very entry-level supercar territory, maybe, I think.
Yeah, it's got a crazy
entry-level supercar, yeah. Or like a decent sports car, high-end sports car, entry-level supercar. The GTS has a bit more power at like 515. It's more or less just a trim. The GTC, which apparently only came as a roadster. Why would you make a higher performance tier and it only be a roadster? I don't know, man. But
I don't know, maybe there's a market out there.
How confusing this is. Okay, but the GTC has 550 horsepower. The GTR makes 577, and to be fair, it has some aerodynamic packages and things like that. It's pretty cool. The GT Black Series, 720 horsepower, and it has like pretty crazy aerodynamics. You know what makes sense, honestly? Make a GT Roadster, the GTR, and the GT Black Series. That's it. That's like very defined, sort of, like you get the GT if you just want the base, more or less. You don't have so much money to shell out. You want the GTR if you're like, okay, I want a pretty decently fast,
on some meat in their burger.
And then the GT Black Series is you just want to go all the way.
Do you know what's interesting about this? I heard you be like, oh, what the fuck is all this, like, with the different models? And I was, like, going through in my head, like, the 32 variants of the Skyline that exist.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not even counting, like, one-offs. One-offs, it's, like, 45, 46.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, like, if you go to...
It's real fucking... I can, like, explain to people. Here's actually a little hint, right? You know how there's that little, like, GT badge on the side of the door?
Yeah.
Here's a little thing for like everyone listening, whoever is listening, please, please. Is that if it's blue, it's a non-turbo. If it's red, it's a turbocharged model.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Interesting. So like a
it's actually if you have one of them, you can actually see it in like the manuals, the owner's manual book, because my cousin told me about it from like his car.
Wait a second. Wait,
his one is weird because he's.
Hold on a second. Oh. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Because you actually do notice it. It's like across all of them. Because people think, oh, it's only on the R32 GTR. No, it's on like all of them. That has it because it's also turbo.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So there's a GTST, right? Isn't there also a GT25T? Is that a thing?
Yeah, there's a GT25T. That's known as the HCR32.
Okay,
it depends if it's an HCR or an HNR. Because the difference is if it has 4-wheel steering, that bullshit. Which usually there's literally tuning companies that offer like a HICAS delete package.
To
get rid of it. Yeah, because you want to get that shit sideways. It's not bad. It does affect like how the car reacts when traction is lost.
It's more or less. It's like it's. What do you want to do with it, right? If you're gonna just take your R32 on a track, then maybe you want 4-wheel steering. But if you want to drift,
even on a track, maybe you want to get like spicy with it. To be fair, it does give like a lot more like feeling of freedom.
Right. Right.
And I can only actually. No, I've never. That's even more goon sounding. I've actually never driven a Skyline that doesn't have heaters.
Interesting.
I've never driven one that has it because all my cousins ones just don't.
Is this something you can add back once you get removed?
Yeah, that's like a whole nother install. That's a ball. Like the delete is like enough as is.
Oh,
yeah, because I would assume you'd basically just have to do some things to the ECU just to make sure, like, hey, don't turn the rear wheels. But to add the whole thing, I mean. That probably, because now you also got to add, like you have to package in all the components that make the rear wheels steer at the same time, and that's got to be a ridiculous thing.
That sounds.
But like, I bet if you bought a car that had 4-wheel steering and then you disabled it, re-enabling is probably not that bad. I think that's what you meant, though, right?
No, they mean like they literally rip, like, because it's also connected to the ECU, but it's also like an independent system. You literally like gut it,
tear it out,
surgeon style.
Yeah, all right.
That's all.
Yeah, that would make sense then. Dang. Yeah. Okay, so actually, this is an old topic, and I do want to actually go on about the Mercedes a little bit longer later on. The old topic, we talked about this last week, but Stelia, you weren't here. I want to know your brief opinion on the GT86 and the BRZ, because it's like some of the only
like modern tuners we have.
Interesting car news, because like I'm not gonna go buy a GT Black Series, and neither are any of us, but a BRZ, that's potential territory for something I could sometime get in the future. Very possible.
That'd be a spicy one.
Right now, here's the thing. The used car market is overpowered. Okay, just pretend that doesn't exist. All right, pretend, because otherwise there'd be no reason.
Only dealerships.
Yeah.
That'd be merciless.
But like, the BRZ, basically both the GT86 and the new BRZ, they're gonna use the Subaru Ascent engine, except the BRZ is not gonna have the turbo, and the GT86 is gonna have the turbo. So that's kind of like, if you want either one, you go for either Subaru or Toyota. I don't know. Kind of interesting cars, but we did talk about. Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me? Well,
yes.
That just happened.
Just happened?
I was trying to click on something, and folks, I went into a different voice channel, and then it decided to take its time and reconnecting. Am I going to edit that out? No. You're going to be here for the whole...
no.
The Vermin Sermon is a roller coaster. We have ups and we have downs. And
Many downs, but we'll get past it.
Yeah.
Many downs.
Mercedes. It's interesting. And this doesn't have to necessarily do with the Black Series, but also the Aventador that set the lap record, the SVJ, and then also the Porsche, the 911 GT2. The lines between a supercar and a hypercar are getting blurred. a little bit, and it's
been
almost a
bad
little bit
for a
confusing.
while. But in my opinion, I kind of like it because
Yeah.
people can probably get cheaper stuff. Like, look at the new Corvette C8, man. That thing's
Yeah.
a thing of beauty,
Like,
in my
dude,
opinion.
I'm just waiting for the C8 ZR1 to be made, because that thing's gonna be ridiculous.
Wait, is that the one that's going to have the flat plane crank? The one that sounds like a European V8?
No, I mean like the ZR1 has
Nah,
always
like-
just been the highest tier package
Oh, okay.
Corvette.
Yeah, it's like the
biggest
performance model.
thing. Yeah, like the Z06 is kind of like, yo, hey, we kind of figured stuff out. Tiers are no, it's just like the performance car, and then the ZR1 is like, hey, we figured out some more stuff, and we went a little bit more overboard than the Z06. So yeah, like in some cases the ZR1 would have a different engine than the Z06. Like the C6, the ZR1 has some LS engine. The Z06 and the has a LS7. And you know, if I were to ever own a C6, I'd probably get a Z06. Not just because it's cheaper, but just because I like the way the LS7 sounds. Yeah, I mean, actually, like a ZR1 in the US, I think is like a C6 used ZR1 is going to cost probably about twice as much as a Z06. So yeah, that's that. I mean, also then again, it's like the C6 Z06 is like about $30,000 for 505 horsepower. It's a little frightening, but you know, there you go.
What? Yeah, that sounds really cool. Talking
yeah.
about that, I like how like you have now small hatchbacks with like that amount of power. Like the new A45 has 400 horsepower, and RS2's got something similar.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the future, I guess.
Yeah. But back to the whole, you know, supercar, hypercar thing. When I was younger, it was pretty easy, you know? Hypercars are basically just supercars, except just way, like, they push the boundaries completely. And also, there was an aspect of high top speeds. You know, a supercar might be really fast and hit 210 miles per hour. Very impressive. And then a hypercar is, like, going to hit 240 or 250, you know? And for some reason, that really just cemented in my head that is what a hypercar is. A hypercar is defined by its ridiculously high top speed. And then you get cars like the LaFerrari. And that's where I started to get a little confused. Because you got this hypercar that keeps up with other hypercars on track, but its top speed is like 217-ish. And when you think about it, because more downforce is going to result in you not being able to... I think it's when the downforce equals the weight of the car, it stops accelerating. And honestly, I don't even... Because I'm just trying to think of like... Just trying to drop a free body diagram in my head right now. Like what happens when the force of the downforce, like what happens to the normal force and why wouldn't it keep accelerating? But I don't know. I'll think about that later. That's for a different conversation. But basically, all what I'm saying is you get these hypercars that are called hypercars that aren't focused on top speed. So top speed, you know, I mean, like, and also like top speed is kind of more or less a useless statistic.
I feel like the term hypercar, like,
yeah,
there's multiple factors what makes it unique, like rarity, top speed, obviously, but like rarity is obviously
I didn't think about rarity.
I think tech as well.
Say what? One more time.
So sorry, tech in the car.
Oh, right. Yeah. But you see, Porsche, they would call their GT2 RS a supercar, I think, and they would call their 918 a hypercar. But the GT2 RS beat its time on the Nürburgring. And I know that's not an entirely like a definitive, you know, like this is how we define what things are. And also that track doesn't necessarily mean a car is better than the other. But considering the Nordschleife also has that huge straightaway, which would, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, a hypercar would be great at that.
Yeah, top speed is pretty important on the Nordschleife, especially in that last section before the end.
But the GT2 RS still beat the 918's time. So is the 918 still a hypercar and the GT2 RS is supercar and the supercar is better than the hypercar?
Yeah, we don't have like a threshold on what a hypercar is.
It's so confusing now, right? I mean, like, and also I remember some people would call the Aventador, the base model Aventador, a hypercar. And that I was just like, I can't see it as a hypercar. I just don't.
I agree
like
with you.
Not in lap times, not in rarity. I mean, like rarity. If every YouTuber has an Aventador, it's not really that rare, is it now? And then it's like also its stats. I mean, 700 horsepower is probably more power than I'll ever experience in a car my whole life. Maybe, hopefully not, but but that doesn't scream hypercar to me. That would scream hypercar if it was like 1993 or whatever the McLaren F1 came out, right? Because F1 had around 600 something horsepower, but then the F1 was also extremely lightweight. And again, I'm not dogging on Lamborghini. I think the Aventador is a great supercar, but is it a hypercar?
I wouldn't. It's not.
And then video games like different Forzas might call an Aventador a hypercar. They might not. So then I guess it also depends on their own discernment. And then it's like, I don't know. It's so weird. I never would have thought that, because like more or less, we still kind of have an idea of what makes a sports car and what makes a supercar a supercar. You know what I'm saying? And then I also remember seeing some people argue on forums about how, well, guys, a supercar is supposed to be so shocking in every way. So, you can have like a Lamborghini Gallardo. That's a really, really, really fast sports car. That's not a supercar though. And so it's like, now it's confusing because everyone also has their own definition of it. And it's like, I don't know. It's actually really interesting.
If that's the case, I think it's just more of a subjective thing now.
Yeah.
How fast technology is improving and stuff. You can't really say.
Because, like, if you roll up to a party and you're in a 911 GT2 RS, people are going to be like, okay, that's definitely an expensive car. That's definitely a fast car. But, that's not going to have the same effect as pulling up in a 918, right? There's a different kind of feeling to it. I think maybe that's where the distinction of hypercar and a supercar.
I feel like I'm the fucking G.
Yeah.
Pulling up in there is wild.
But you see, then again, right? If you pull up in an Aventador, that's like, the Aventador is basically the staple rich guy car, at least nowadays. But like a 911, someone pulls up in a GT3 RS, which is a very track focused car. That's the likelihood of some rich guy just randomly buying a 911 GT3 RS is pretty slim compared to like even a 918, let alone like a Lamborghini. Hypercars seem to be that market of, you have a ton of money to spare and just who cares, But some hypercars and some hypercars don't. Like, you don't see rich people just randomly rolling in a Koenigsegg Agera RS, right?
That's a different kind of human being, though.
Yeah,
that's like the rich guy who like knows his car.
Yeah.
Or either that, or he's like very peculiar in his car taste.
Yeah, that's
which is even a better question to ask. It's like, yo, you picked this, why?
Yeah. Also, dude, the Koenigsegg Gamera, a big 4-seater, 1,700 horsepower hypercar sedan type of family car. Like, what is it? The lines are getting blurred pretty fast. Like, we're gonna here's the thing: as technology gets better and better, we're gonna hit a point where the limiting factor, and I think in some regards we've already hit it. The limiting factor is going to be the human mind and its ability to process information as fast as it can. I think that's going to be the limiting factor, because like, even if we had long enough roads to hit 300 miles per hour, you gotta be mentally ready to hit 300. Probably. I mean, I haven't done it, but
I'll say from where like I'm gone in my journey, it's after a while, especially if you're like me, it's after a while, like you notice 200, 240 plus, it's not enough, personally, at least. After a while, like you're like a fucking crackhead. You just fiend for more. I need more speed. Yeah, literally like a drug addict. I need more speed.
You're talking about kilometers per hour, though, right? Or unless you've actually have you gone 240 miles per hour?
No, not miles, not miles. Right. Jesus.
Right.
I see. Right? I don't have access. It's not that I just don't have access to cars that can do that.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah, no.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, like, kilometers. Like, I will say, like, after a while, you just keep hitting these, like, kilometer milestones and, like, I need more. It's like a fucking drug. I need it now. Please. Yeah. I need speed. I have a need for speed.
The fiend for speed.
Oh gosh.
The fiend for speed. I'm fiending.
Right. But it's just kind of interesting. Like, still, just going back to the whole, like, because one day, what if, we might have sports cars be so performance oriented and crazy, and that'll just be after the fact that supercars more or less have hit a point where if you go any faster, someone's just gonna crash and kill themselves. That's just what's the likely case going to be for someone to use all of the speed. So then you have the 2186. We're in that year. Pretend we're in that year. That year model Subaru BRZ. Oh yeah, has 800 horsepower. Crazy active aerodynamics. Like really grippy tires.
I'm more surprised that people think like that human beings could control something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It really is the limiting
fucking
factor.
hubris when you get to those speeds.
The limiting factor is, the human ability to handle that. Because I have this thought, and because if evolution is real, then maybe the human being won't be the limiting factor, but we're not going to get into that. Let's actually get into our last sort of topic, which was a new GTA Online heist / map / whatever. Saul, I know you know a little bit about this, so by all means elaborate.
Okay, so obviously, like a few months ago, like there was leaks that there's going to be a new update or something completely different, and those people were saying like it could be Lib City or something, but it ended up being it's like an island, and it seems to be like a South America. Some people said it's like a Pablo Escobar type thing because there was a screenshot that looked like in the front of one of his houses, like with the welcome sign or whatever. It just looks really interesting. Like it's something that could actually put people back into it, and I think it's free. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, like most GTA Online DLC is free anyway, so.
And it's something different rather than just getting cars at the same top speed and sound. And it just could be fun to get into it. And there's even some solo heists you can do, or one solo heist, which means that it should be actually something that you don't get done over. Like you need to finish the heist and then you get kicked out because someone died or something. But it just looks something different, new, and something to tie people over in December when it comes.
I think in a very ironic twist, literally as you're saying, it seems really interesting. I yawned.
Jeez, got that dirty.
That's fine.
I didn't plan for that to happen. It just happened.
That's fine. It's fine because honestly, from something like that, I can't be asked to reinstall it, and it seems like everything's gonna be expensive anyway, and then I have nothing by the end of when I buy stuff for it, like cars or weapons or whatever.
Yeah,
I'll see reviews, and if it is decent, I wouldn't mind booting it back up.
I think it has to. I have a little bit of a theory. As soon as developers or publishers or someone in the gaming industry, unless they're an indie developer, indies seem to be the exception from what I've looked at. As soon as they reach widespread success, they usually just go to crap because then they know how to get money and they chase that. And it can happen in various ways. Like with GTA Online, people have been begging for single player DLC for such a long time. But it's like, hey, if GTA Online is still making money, why not just, keep adding things to GTA Online when they know they're going to get more money than what they would out of a single player DLC?
It makes too much sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also like when you consider how many GTA games used to come out every so often, like I think like between GTA 3 and Vice City and San Andreas, didn't they all come out on the same console generation, 6th generation? So like PS2 and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was nuts. Everything that came out on
3 games.
Yeah, but with that, you have to look at the time and technology and stuff.
Obviously, yeah, that's true.
The games weren't that big compared to like from GTA 5 and so on. So they could probably have the resources to do it.
I think people would actually enjoy that. Maybe a little bit dialed down, a little bit more specialized, but more experiences.
With the way modern games, I don't think it'd work now. Because every game has different workout. I wouldn't mind something like GTA 5. It's 5 years, but
yeah. Like also, we gotta remember, like if I play Need for Speed Carbon now, like I'll have a fantastic time, right? But that's partially because of nostalgia. In terms of content, I mean, it was packed for its time as a racing game that came out every year. You had challenge series, you had reward cards, you had online content, and you had the main single player. That's pretty decent actually. But nowadays, people are like, man, where's the free update 2 years after the game came out to give you free content, even though I bought the game 2 years ago? And I'm not even going to blame them. I'm just saying times are different. And you are right about that. I think also it's weird. Like my experience of playing video games when I was younger, play something for 2 hours and I'd shut it off and then I wouldn't play again till like 2 days later or something. So like Carbon and Most Wanted and the old other games that I played as a kid, they lasted forever. Because an 8-hour game would genuinely, it would be a week's worth of time and then some. Because, it's also like not every 8-hour game is you'd play exactly for 8 hours, right? So like I look back on Burnout Paradise, and I had like, okay, so after my save data for Burnout Paradise on PS3 was wiped twice. I can get into that, but that was just some glitch. And on my current save on PS3, I have like 190 hours, but I think I probably would have had like, honestly, about like twice as much beforehand, like 300 hours when you can only play like 2 hours a day or whatever. Do you know how long a game lasts for that to happen, right? Like, that's why it feels like I've been playing Burnout my whole life. But really, no, I had more hours in other games. But it's just the way things are. And it's interesting because, I mean, like, no, I still don't, like, just sit there and play for hours and hours and hours. I got stuff to do, and same with all of y'all. But, like, the younger generations, I noticed even, like, I say younger generations. No, I mean, like, my generation, but just a little bit younger than me. I noticed some of my friends who, like, they're in college now. But, like, 2 years ago when they weren't in college, or no, 1 year ago when they weren't in college, like, I mean, granted, my high school was a little bit ridiculous. I'm not going to go into that, but I went to a private high school with a lot of time-consuming work. In any case, like my friends, they get off school and then they just play video games the whole time. Like the whole, like it's like 3 p.m. Okay, time to play games until it's like 8. How do you even, I don't even comprehend that, man. But that's the reality. People have so much time to kill. And I don't know how that is, but, and no, I'm not sounding like a boomer. I mean, like, I'm 20. This is not a very, I'm not talking about like what people did in their free time in the 80s. I mean, what people did in their free time just a few years ago.
What did people do? It was like drugs, I guess. It was fuck all to do then, wasn't it? Crime.
Yeah, no thanks, bro.
There was nothing to keep criminals docile.
Yeah, but it's like, I can't blame them. That's just how things are nowadays. A game is supposed to last hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours. That's the standard. And for a GTA game, right? Like you might have a fantastic time playing GTA Vice City, but it's not going to last as long as GTA 5 or GTA Online. I mean, like I remember when I had GTA 5 first time, and like it was ridiculous. It was one of the only like non-racing games where I was like fully submerged, like immersed into the experience. And I think part of the reason is because around that time is probably when I started to lose interest in gaming a little bit. Like obviously I still have some interest in it, but it's as time goes on, that's just what happens. But like I remember, it felt like I played that game forever, and then I finished the single player campaign. Soul, do you know around how many hours the single player campaign in GTA 5 is supposed to be, more or less? Like a rough estimate.
Isn't that 20 or something?
You see, that's what I thought too. I had 87 hours after beating the campaign. I think I just did a whole lot of side content and side missions.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of side content. If you burn through it, it's like...
And like
I think maybe because I was a retard, I didn't even know if I was doing side missions or not. I was just doing mission after mission, like thinking that it's like, and like I wasn't like, oh man, I hope this is the main story. I'm just like, hey, it's more content. I just like this game. So I finished the game. I didn't 100% complete it. I still have side missions I can do, but I was at like 80 hours, and it felt like it just went by so quickly. I don't remember another time like that. Other than a certain game, which we've mentioned a few times before, which didn't last very long, but for other reasons. Reasons being it actually does not last that long. You know, it's we don't have to go into that, but with GTA 5, considering also just how long it lasts and things like that, older, business models for games aren't going to really work out. But one thing is though, and I know I'll probably get accused for being a Nintendo fanboy. I've talked about Nintendo a lot, and yeah, I like them. It's whatever. I can't like force my opinion different just because it's lame or whatever. Who cares? I really like Nintendo stuff, and I think they're one of the few companies where it's like they can have extreme widespread success, and they're still making great games, and doing things pretty well. But like GTA Online. Now they're just funneling money into that because that's what's going to make them the most money. Like GTA 5, right? I mean, like, okay, last gen? No, sorry, 2 gens ago, because now we're in 8th. Sorry, now we're in 9th gen. Gosh. 7th gen of consoles, PS3, 360. We had GTA 4 and we had GTA 5. And I still consider GTA 5 a 7th gen game. It was built on that hardware for that hardware, and for a long time. And so you had those 2 games, and then you just basically, in the whole of the 8th gen, you just had essentially a re-release of a last-gen game. And now also on PS5, we're getting and Series X, we're getting re-releases of games from 2 generations ago. I understand GTA 6 is in the works now. But all I'm saying is, I think there's a fine balance between having a game last a whole long time through live content support and just killing it off and working on the next one. And it depends person to person, but I think if they supported GTA Online until like maybe 2016, and then like, okay, we're gonna work solely on GTA 6, I think people would have been pretty satisfied because you had GTA in 2013 till 2016, right? That's a decent period of time for a game to last. But that's not what happened. It's still kicking. Back to the whole idea, real quick, about the fact that I think as soon as games reach a certain level of success, they go overboard. Need for Speed 2015. The game had bad reviews, and honestly was pretty bad. They had probably one of the most memorable post-launch support systems for the franchise. Granted, post-live, I don't know why I keep saying live. Post-launch support wasn't really a thing in Need for Speed till 2015. Well, when you think about it, considering all things considered with DLC, I think Pro Street had DLC, didn't it? Yeah, I think Pro Street had DLC. I think even Carbon had DLC. So no, they've had post-launch support for a while, but with 2015, it only took me a while to realize that the reason it had such good post-launch support was because critically it had bad reviews. It had bad reviews. Let's just ignore the fact that it's missing a lot of stuff. Let's just focus on the fact it had bad reviews. And Ghost was like, or EA maybe was like, okay, you guys are gonna fix this up so that people aren't too frustrated. Like, okay, let's make some stuff. Payback happens. Also gets pretty bad reviews. Has some post-launch support, right? I know the post-launch support in Payback was not nearly as good as it was in 2015. But to its credit, we had online free roam added, which is hilarious because it should have been there from the start. You did have the abandoned cars the stuff that was missing from the game, like the RX-7, I think, and the E30 and some other cars. They're like, okay, we're gonna add them back, and we're also gonna make them kind of interesting. Bait crates didn't give you checkpoints or time limits, so they were more or less sort of like free roam cops. Again, not a full solution, right? So they didn't really fix a whole lot of things, but you could see this, like, they saw problems and addressed them. Maybe they didn't address them perfectly. They definitely didn't. Maybe they didn't address them timely, but they addressed issues, right? Hey, cars from the car list are missing. Okay, we'll add them. Hey, we can't play online free roam. Okay, we'll do that. Hey, there's no free roam cops. We didn't fully do that, but here's bait crates that let you go wherever you want, right? These are not all good solutions, but they are solutions to problems. In Heat, the game was critically well received. And you know what happened? We got chat wheels, we got wheel support, and I genuinely don't even remember anything else. We got crossplay. We did get crossplay. But you know what's funny? We still don't have a fix for the fact that there's nothing to do after you beat the game at night. We still don't have a fix for the fact that the AI is incredibly unbalanced. And it's not just like some odd complaint here and there. No, you finish a race that's recommended that your level will be 280, and you have one guy who's 210 and one guy who's 340. You can see it in the AI itself. It is designed to be incredibly imbalanced. It's just like, I don't even know, man. Like, these are AI is kind of a core issue. I would think in a racing game. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah,
I think you guys would agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like the core component.
And then also, like, the clipping issues. I don't remember them being this bad in Payback, let alone 2015. And 2015 is a raggedy, jankety game, dude. But like,
that says ragdoll.
But
I wouldn't say with the patches that the mods have done, like patches tonight, I haven't seen any clipping.
Dude, where are the modders out here fixing the game where Ghost messed up? It's unreal. You guys should see. Some people are making new drift handling for 2015, and it looks absurdly smooth. Like, it does not even. It looks like somebody recreated the game in a different game engine. Smooth. But you see, I'm actually so used to the crackhead drifting in 2015, I'd probably not like it. Just because my brain associates the crab walking with 2015, so it would be like reverse muscle memory. I have to break the synapses in my brain.
You're like crab sliding if you drive the Huracan.
Yeah, crab sliding. Yeah, modders are fixing up things, but I think the real reason all this stuff happened is, remember how it almost felt like radio silence after the game first came out, after Heat first came out. I think that was because they had good reviews and like, okay, guys, our work here is done. Let's just chill. Let's just relax. Also, the DLC. My gosh, the DLC, man. I understand they're probably frustrated for people asking for an Eclipse, but people want an Eclipse, so you should probably add an Eclipse. People have been asking for an Eclipse since Payback, and when they added like the Firebird and the DB5, and people were like, hey, but we wanted an Eclipse. And then I think Ben Walk said something like, well, the Eclipse is like a meme at this point. Okay, so are you going to take your job seriously and actually give the people what they want? Or
your game's a fucking meme, mate.
Are you going to say, well, but like you guys like asked for it, you overdone it? Like, it's a different thing. You see, like, I could understand a YouTuber not wanting to make a video on something because the comment section is filled with it, and they're just like, no, I'm just not going to entertain that thought. But this is a service, a paid like product, right? People have expectations for the post-launch content, and I haven't like analyzed whether or not we should have those expectations or not. That's for a different conversation. But how fortunate Need for Speed is that the fan base has been yelling at them what they wanted exactly for years now. Do you know how hard it would be if the fan base was a bit fragmented and you didn't know? Because like Forza, right? I want progression. I want a story. I want an actual use for the credits through car builds, through car race restrictions. and then Horizon Blueprint being a thing you unlock after the game for replay value, and then boss characters and unique things with that. And but most of the fan base doesn't want that. Most of the fan base just wants to log on to Forza and unga bunga me drive fast car for 2 hours and then shut it off.
And you know what? Me drive fast car, that is it.
Can I really blame you if that's what you want to do? Not really.
I really blame you if you're playing Forza.
If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I have no control over it. Like, no, you should not enjoy this game anymore, you know? I mean, I don't enjoy Forza for the same reason someone else would. But, or rather, I don't look for the same things in Forza that someone else would. But, like, if a whole bunch of the fan base, and I mean a whole bunch of the fan base, it's like, yeah, just add more cars. Just keep adding more cars. Maybe fix up some engine sounds. Maybe add some more spots to like drift or whatever in the map, and then I'm happy. Can I really blame them if they're doing what their fan base wants? But not all of the fan base, right? It's sort of like a little bit kind of fragmented, you know? Both Need for Speed, it's like everyone's like, guys, we just want a game where you can just do a turn and you don't flip into the ground and then like molecular transfusion, you combust your car into a tree because it clipped into the. You know what I'm saying? You don't want we don't want unbalanced. These are basic things, very basic things, right? No one who plays Forza is complaining about the handling model or the physics model or anything on a mechanical level. It just works. Like, these are like core issues we're talking about, and they're not going to fix them because the game was critically received somehow, and that's it. End of story. Why bother fixing the game up when the critics and the people who matter to us like our game? So who cares? Let's just add wheel support and a chat wheel. It's absurd, man. I don't even know how I went from GTA Online to talking about Need for Speed Heat's post-launch support. You know, at this point, I'm no longer gonna like try to promise to not talk about Need for Speed Heat again because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm digging it out of the grave. It's a zombie now.
Dig it up with grave robbing.
I defiled the grave. I took the corpse out.
I'll toss that corpse in the fucking trash can.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, piggybacking off of what Soul said, I am actually having a good time with mods. With mods that address some of the issues that the game had, which is kind of funny.
Same.
Yeah,
dude, yesterday I had a Honda S2000 and I put the NSX engine in it. It is scary. 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds.
Yeah. I installed some mods on top of Project Unite to have the money that you earn from a race be the exact same, so you don't have to like go back to the garage and go back out.
You need to show me that mod. I still haven't found it, but it does sound cool.
I mean, like here's the thing: you can't just like add it on top of the other things. You have to install it into it, and then maybe like save a different version of Unite each time. So like every time they update it, you have to like make modifications to it. It's not the end of the world, though. In any case, Project Unite, pretty decent mod. If you already have Need for Speed Heat, try out Project Unite. If you know, it's just like, if Heat was the way it was, if you had all the features from Project Unite built into Heat, all right then. You know, all right, fair enough. But it's like, it's ridiculous. Dude, why are the modders who make Project Unite, when someone makes a suggestion, they actually take it into consideration instead of Need for Speed Heat, which is like, oh, you want better AI because the AI is broken? Have a chat wheel. I don't know, man. I'm going to keep talking about this forever.
What a shit fucking game.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Unlucky. All right, then. Well, not the happiest ending, but there you have it, folks. We'll see you guys all in the next one.